Hello, and welcome to the Whole Armour Sunday School lesson for June 16th, 2019. Abram blessed by Melchizedek, coming from Genesis 14, 1 and 2, and 11 through 20. Happy Father's Day to all of the fathers that are doing what they have to do for their kids and being a good example, being a spiritual leader of their families. Happy Father's Day. It's a great day this morning. I feel blessed to be a father. You see my daughter over my shoulder back here, and everybody else that I care for. It's a blessing, and it's a calling to be a father. You have to take on a responsibility that a lot of men choose not to do. So it's a blessing, and I salute all fathers out there. Let's go into our scripture lesson text, Genesis 14 and 1. And it came to pass in the days of Amraphel, king of Shinar, Arioch, king of Elazar, Chedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Tidal, king of nations, that these made war with Bera, king of Sodom, and with Bersha, king of Gomorrah, Shinab, king of Admah, and Shemebar, king of Zeboim, and the king of Bela, which is Zoar. And they took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah and all their victuals and went their way. And they took Lot, Abram's brother's son, who dwelt in Sodom, and his goods, and departed. And it came one that had escaped and told Abram the Hebrew, for he dwelt in the plain of Mamre the Amorite, brother of Eshcol, brother of Aner, and these were confederate with Abram. And when Abram heard that his brother was taken captive, he armed and trained his servants, born in his own house, 318, and pursued them unto Dan. And he divided himself against them, he and his servants by night, and smote them, and pursued them unto Hobah, which is on the left hand of Damascus. And he brought back all the goods, and also brought again his brother Lot, and his goods, and the woman also, and the people. The king of Sodom went out to meet him after his return from the slaughter of Chedorlaomer, and of the kings that were with him, at the valley of Sheva, which is the king's dale. And Melchizedek, king of Salem, brought forth bread and wine, and he was a priest of the Most High God. And he blessed him, and said, Blessed be Abram of the Most High God, possessor of heaven and earth, and blessed be the Most High God, which hath delivered thine enemies into thine hand, and he gave his tithes unto all. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this lesson. We thank you for this day, this Father's Day. We thank you for all the ones that are doing your will and being a good example for their family and being the head that you wanted them to be. Lord, I ask you just bless everyone out there that's receiving this word, and everyone that is going into the house of the Lord today. Let them get a word, and if not, let them get a word from this that they can take with them, Lord. I just ask you to continue to grow this Sunday school lesson and let it be a blessing to everyone that partakes. Go right into this lesson. Dangerous situation. So as the scripture lesson text showed, it was a war. The two kings of Sodom and Gomorrah, they were at war with other kings, and we know that this is only relevant because Abram's nephew Lot was in Sodom. He moved there, and he didn't heed the words of Abram to be somewhere in the Canaan land where they can still be confederate and still be together in the vicinity. No, Lot, as we learned last week, he saw that the land over there in Sodom was beautiful. It was great land. I got to get over there. It's nice. I think my animals will prosper over there, and I know that it's a way that I can be even more profitable. So he wasn't thinking with letting the Lord lead him. He was having selfish thoughts. What can this profit me? And when we do this, we learn that it's a good chance for fall and misstep. we can have a chance where the devil can take over and have things happen that we can't explain. And so that's what happened with Lot. It was the war. And he was in the midst of it, but he wasn't the one that caused the war. He was just an innocent bystander that lived in Sodom. Man, capture. Uh, Genesis 14:11 and 12. So the armies of the four invading kings took all the goods of Sodom and Gomorrah. Obviously, they were on the losing end. So they took all of victuals. I said victuals, but it's victuals, and went their way. And they also took Lot. They took Lot with them. He as a capture, as a captive. They took him, and they all went back to where their land is, and celebrated a decisive victory. They took over, and it was. Just goes to show that everything that looks good is not good for you. You can go into a land and think, oh, this is great. This is a great opportunity. This is a great investment for me. This is a great place where me and my family could dwell, or this is a great anything, vehicle, or anything. And we look at it upon it, and we see that it looks good, and we want to purchase it, or we want to invest, or we want to get it. But we have to first wait on the Lord and let Him guide that decision. We choose not to. We go on and do our own thing, and this is one of the results. You can be caught in the midst of something wrong because you chose first not to trust the Lord and let Him guide. He'll guide you somewhere good where everything is blessed. But we go on our own first, and then on the back end we ask the Lord to help us. That's what we tend to do. A decisive solution. Genesis 14:13 through 16. Reaction. Genesis 14:13 and 14. Someone escaped the fray to alert Abram that his nephew had been captured. We can only say that God always does that, doesn't He? In every war, any battle, that the word has to get out, and there's it's no phones or any other communication. Somebody gets out. Somebody gets away that they can alert others and tell what the Lord wants them to tell. And He went out to where Abram, they called him Abram the Hebrew. This is the first mention of that, but that's what God's people were known as at the time. They were Hebrews as well. That's where that was part of what they were called. And he was living in Hebron on the property of Mamre. Mamre was Amorite, and he had two brothers, Eshcol and Aner, and they were Confederate. They were all friends, and they worked together. So this shows us that even as Christians, those that follow the Lord, we still have people that we can work with. They might not have the same views as us, but we can still work with them, and they might have good qualities. The Lord uses who He uses, and we don't know why He was with them, but we see now that He needed help. He needed men, and good men that can help him in what he has to do. So after Abram heard all of the fate of what happened in Sodom, he got his people together. He didn't wait. He didn't say, "Oh well, I'm sad. Sorry to hear that about old Lot." No, he got all his people together, and he trained 318 servants. That's a lot of people that was with him, right? He trained all of them, and they got them ready for war, so they can go after the foreign kings, the four of them. And there was a big disparity of people. 318 versus 4 kings with their soldiers and people with them. That shit, you know they were outnumbered. But when it comes to God's people, you never outnumbered. You'll make your enemy your footstool. You always have a chance with the Lord. So we can't count ourselves out when it comes to adversity. God is with us all the time, right? If we believe that, when we trust it, then and go with it, you know the Lord is going to provide a way, a rescue. So Abram pursued them. He came up with a nighttime attack. So they went into those lands, and he divided the men into groups, and they went out, and they got in there, and they took over. They did what they had to do. They recovered everything and everyone who had been taken captive. They they also got Lot. They got him back and spared him from what was probably going to be a life of a captive, which is persecution, and which is could be up to death. You know, you never know what they do with captives, but usually they do some kind of torturing. And he spared them from that, and he got them back out of there before anything too bad happened. So that was a blessing, and the Lord still was looking after Lot. Lot chose wrong, and Lot didn't do what the Lord wanted him to do from the get-go, which was seek him first. But we still see that the Lord is still in his favor, because he's a good man. He's still God's child, even though he didn't choose right. You know, we have missteps in our life where we fall short and don't do what we're supposed to do from the get-go. We think we can do things on our own and do it ourselves first, and then we bump our knee, and then we get into trouble. God is still with you. He still loves you, but he wants you to do right the next time. Don't think that he's gonna continue to help you out of these situations. No, because you show you're not learning. You're not trusting in him. You expect him to do what you need him to do every time, and he's not a slot machine. You have to do his will and can start changing and doing the way he wants you to do it the first time. Because when the light is over and the light goes dim, no man can work. There's no more chances after your time is over. Amen. Definitive salutation. Genesis 14, 17 through 20. Greetings. Genesis 14, 17, 18. Amen. So, two kings met Abram on his return from battle, and they were quite different. It was Bera, king of Sodom. He had been saved, and his kingdom was restored. He was happy. He was leading the nation of sin, nation of people that are doing wrong, and he most surely should have been taken and probably slaughtered. But he was saved in the midst of Abram doing all this just for his nephew. So he was caught up in the midst of being blessed. So he was happy, and he went out to see Abram. But the other king, Melchizedek, he was identified as the king of Salem, but from reports is they didn't know where he came from. They didn't know who he was. He was just a king of righteousness, and they knew he was which means king of peace, king of Salem means king of peace. I'm sorry. So it's a mystery who this king was, but he had very strong qualities that people have said that it was the first sign of Jesus. They saw that he was a king that came with royal food. He came with bread and wine, and he blessed it, and he gave it to Abram, and he had high regard for Abram and his accomplishments. He saw Abram as a follower of the Most High God. He understood that, and this was early on, so he already had an understanding of who was the one he's supposed to serve. And this is, we know that that's not too many people that already recognize this as the case. God was not. Um, People were serving many gods. They were pagan. They were serving all kind of gods and themselves as well. So this was a rare occurrence. But we can't speculate on who it is. But we can see that this King Melchizedek uh, had those qualities. That's all we can say, and that's the salutation that it was more important than the one of Sodom and those other kings that should have been taken out probably anyway by how they were leading their countries. Blessing, Genesis 14, 19, and 20. As Melchizedek came and blessed, he came to see Abram. He blessed him with and the God he served, and he was supposedly a priest, and he gave a tithe. And no, Abram gave Melchizedek a tithe, so he knew that he was a priest. So that's normal activity then. But like we said, it's reported that Melchizedek was a pre-incarnate appearance of Jesus, but we don't know that for sure. So it's just what it would explain how he was so aware of who was the one that we should be serving. He used Elyon as the name of the Lord. That's the Most High God, Jehovah Elyon. That describes the Lord's sovereignty and supremacy over all His creation. He also explained that God is the possessor of heaven and earth. He declared that it was this one who gave Abram and his family members and allies the victory over the enemies, and he is true. Abram, he faced great difficulty in this war. It's a quick one, but we know that just anything that the Lord does is amazing. It's 300 men, and they go out and seize with four kings that have seized Sodom and Gomorrah. They went with 300 men and took back all that was lost, and they took back Lot, and they got all the things that they were supposed to do. That's all. That's God. He did that. Amen. And we have to acknowledge that, and the one that did acknowledge that, we acknowledge him, Melchizedek, and all we can do is say that he has very, very good qualities of the one we serve. And that's what we all should have as his followers. We should all exude these qualities. That's part of who we should be as well. Ones that are different than everybody else. We different. We come in with a different mentality. Instead of giving Abram all the praise and giving him all of the glory because of what happened, we give God the glory because that's the one that does everything. Amen. It's a short lesson this morning, but it's a blessed lesson. I hope you got something out of it. We need to focus on giving God the glory, trusting Him to bring us out of all our difficulties, and go with Him, and He will take us and guide us on anything we have, any difficulty we have, because we're gonna have life battles ourselves. This is not just Lot's plot. Nah, we gonna have battles too, and we gotta get through it. And what we need to do, what Lot didn't do, is trust in God and go with Him first and let Him lead us, and not come back to Him on the back end. And then we'll know that wherever we led is for our good and is where we need to be. Amen. Y'all have a good, blessed Father's Day today. I would encourage you to continue in your word, get closer to God, pray and ask Him for more understanding, so you can learn more of His word, and it becomes it makes more sense to you. And I ask you to also get into a church somewhere and really learn and go and get a word. We discount the word. A lot of people are giving church a bad name, so we say I don't need to go to church to be saved. You need the word, and you need fellowship. It makes you feel good. It fills you up. It makes you be able to get through what you're going through in your life. When you have others that are praying for you and that support you, you have a pastor that's giving you a word. And not all pastors are doing the right thing, but you have to seek the Lord, and He will bless your path. Amen. So have a great day, like I said, and just be blessed.